Hello guys, how are you? I'm doing great. This is such a nice book I am reading right now. This is by a former president and a famous scientist, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. In this book, he recalls something in his diary. If you want to leave your footprints on the sand of time, do not drag your feet. It is a words with deep meaning. A very good morning to all guys. I am Shyam. Today's topic is nothing other than India's space missions. India's space missions began in 1962 with the launch of a famous sounding rocket called RH-75. Dr. Vikram Sarabhai was the founder and father of Indian Space Research Organization, which is the main body for planning and executing space activities in India. In 1972, he also set up a space mission. Since then, India has achieved many milestones in space science and technology, such as launching its own satellites, developing indigenous launch vehicles, sending probes to Moon and Mars, and planning for human space flight. Starting with the Aryabhatta, India's first satellite launched in 1975. All space missions of India were remarkable as ever. It marked India's entry into the exclusive club of spacefaring nations. The moon is pretty fascinating, right? It is the closest celestial body to Earth and has fascinated humans for many centuries. It is a natural laboratory for the studying the origin and evolution of the solar system. Do you know which is India's first lunar mission? Yeah, right, guys. It is nothing other than Chandrayaan-1. It was launched on 22 October 2008 by ISRO. It consisted of a lunar orbiter and an impactor. The main objective of mapping the location and abundance of water. The orbiter carried 11 scientific instruments from India, US, UK, Germany, Sweden and Bulgaria. The impactor carried 3 instruments from India and US. It was released into orbit on 14th November 2008. The impactor detected traces of lunar water. Isn't that awesome, right guys? Water on moon. Yeah, by the way, back to topic. This is a major discovery for lunar science, by the way. The orbiter operated until August 2009. Unfortunately, it lost contact with Earth due to a technical error. Main objectives were to prepare a 3D atlas for both near and far side of the moon, to conduct chemical and mineralogical mapping of entire lunar surface, to increase scientific knowledge about the origin and evolution of the moon. Achievements of Chandrayaan were notable. It became the first deep space mission, the first mission to discover water molecules on the moon using mineralogy mapper. It measured radiation environment around the moon using a radar. It performed a controllable landing on the moon, but it suffered from thermal issues. Several problems like power system, attitude control, star sensor, etc. were the major threat. India's second lunar mission was Chandrayaan 2, launched on 22 July 2019, just before COVID, by a geosynchronous satellite launch vehicle Mark III, GSLV Mark III. This is a small replica, by the way. The most powerful rocket developed by ISRO. It consisted of a lunar orbiter, Vikram lander and Pragyan rover, all developed by India. The main scientific objective was to map the location and abundance of lunar water, especially in the permanently shadowed regions near the poles. The orbiter carried 8 instruments from India, while the lander and rover carried 4 each from India. The orbiter was successfully inserted into the orbit on 2019, and it is still there. The lander and rover was supposed to soft land on the high plain between 2 large craters near the lunar south pole on 7th September 2019, but they crashed onto the lunar surface due to a loss of control. The lander and rover were not able to communicate with Earth or the orbiter after the crash. It faced several delays in the launch due to technical issues like unfavorable weather, etc. India has also great history of interplanetary missions. First interplanetary mission was Mars Orbiter Mission, or MOM, which was also called Mangalyaan. By the way, I just remembered, there's a famous film called Mission Mangal, directed by a person called Shakti. That's a must-watch film for all the space lovers. I highly recommend you to go and watch it. By the way, back to topic. It was launched on 5th November 2013 by a PSLV, Polar Satellite Launch Vehicle. It was a spacecraft orbiting Mars since 24th September 2014, with the main objective of demonstrating India's technological capabilities to reach Mars orbit. It also carried 5 scientific instruments from India to study the Martian surface, atmosphere and mineralogy. MOM was India's first interplanetary mission, and then ISRO became the 4th space agency to reach Mars after the Soviet space program, NASA and European Space Agency. India was also the first Asian nation to reach Mars orbit, after the first nation in the world to do so. In its first attempt, MOM completed its nominal mission duration of 6 months in March 2015, but it continued to operate beyond that as an extended mission. Until October 22, it ran out of fuel. India's astronomy missions were also prominent. India's first dedicated astronomy satellite was AstroSat. I hope you all have heard that name at least once in your life. It was launched in 28 September 2015 by a PSLV. The uniqueness of AstroSat lay in its wide spectral coverage, extending over visible UV, soft X-ray and hard X-ray regions. AstroSat performed various observations of stars, galaxies, black holes, neutron star, supernovae, and other cosmic phenomena. AstroSat completed its nominal mission duration of 5 years in September, but it continued to operate beyond that as an extended mission until September 2020, when it had a technical failure. Don't you want to know other future space missions of India or our country? Hope we will move to Mars soon, by the way. India's first human space mission is Gaganyaan, planned to be launched by a GSLV Mark III. It will be a success soon. It is a spacecraft that will carry 3 Indian astronauts to the low Earth orbit for a duration of 7 days. The main objective of Gaganyaan is to demonstrate India's capability of sending humans to space and bringing them back safely. It will also carry some scientific experiments to study the effects of microgravity and space radiation on human health and performance. Gaganyaan is a part of India's ambitious plan to become the fourth country in the world to have sent humans to space. After the US, Russia, and China, ISRO is developing the spacecraft and Russia is helping the training of astronauts. India has some solar observation missions also up the sleeves. India's first solar mission is Aditya L1. It is expected to be launched in 2023 by a PSLV-18. It is the first Indian observatory class mission to study the outermost surface of Sun, the solar corona. Not the microorganism corona, the solar corona. Using a solar coronagrapher and also a chromosphere, using a near UV instrument, X-ray spectroscopic instruments will provide a flare spectra and observe the solar events during their passage from Sun to Earth. Aditya L1 will be placed in a halo orbit, which is about 1.5 million kilometers from Earth. This will enable continuous observation of Sun without any occultations or eclipse. Aditya L1 will help in understanding the dynamics and evolution of solar corona and its effect on interplanetary space missions and Earth's environment. Apart from these, India has also planned several other missions for the future, such as MOM-2, a second Mars orbiter mission with enhanced scientific payloads and communication capabilities. It is expected to be launched on 2024. Chandrayaan-3 is a third lunar mission with a lander and a rover. It is expected to be launched in July 13th, 2023. This year, this month. Aren't you all excited? Its objective is to attempt a soft land near the solar south pole to conduct scientific observations directly on site. The objectives of Chandrayaan-3 is to demonstrate new technology for interplanetary missions. It followed up missions to continue Chandrayaan-2's ambition. Shukrayaan-1, a Venus orbiter mission with 8 scientific payloads from India, France, Sweden and Germany, is expected to be launched in 2025 to study the atmosphere and surface of Venus. An X-ray polarimeter satellite with 2 scientific payloads from India, XPOSat, is expected to be launched in 2026. Its main aim is to measure the polarization of X-rays from various cosmic sources. NISAR is a joint Earth observation satellite mission with NASA. It is expected to be launched in 2027 to measure the changes in Earth's surface. ExoWorld is a space telescope mission with 4 scientific payloads from India. It is expected to be launched on 2028. It will be research for exoplanets and study their atmospheres. SARC satellite, navigation satellites will be the milestones. India's partnership with various nations included the joint missions and sharing of space technology and data. This may do good as A whole India is assisting other developing countries with their space program. India has made a remarkable progress in space exploration over past 6 decades, 60 years, guys. It has many feats that have put it among the leading spacefaring nations of the world. India's first planned for a ambitious mission in coming years. India's space missions have not only enhanced its scientific knowledge and technological capabilities, but also inspired its people and contributed to its social economic development. India's space missions are a source of pride and hope for its future. ISRO's initiatives such as telemedicine and disaster management support have transformed people's life. Even yours too, guys. It helped to improve telecommunication in remote areas and empowered farmers with its advanced agricultural information. The launch vehicles SSLV, ASLV, GSLV, PSLV, etc. have successfully placed various satellites into orbit. D1 and D2 were used by India to send satellites of 500 kg to low Earth orbit, which was a success by establishing a constellation of satellites for communication, remote sensing, navigation and meteorology under INSAT system and IRNSS. India made its own place in the world of space mission. It demonstrated its anti-satellite capability by conducting Mission Shakti in 2019. India is giving inspiration to the next generation of scientists, engineers and entrepreneurs by engaging them in various educational and outrageous programs related to science. Though India faced budget constraints and technological problems, India's space missions are a source of pride and inspiration for all Indians. They reflect our scientific temper, technological development, national aspiration, and global vision. They also contribute to our economic growth, social welfare, national security. As we celebrate our 75th year of independence, let us also celebrate its achievements. Let us remember the words of Vikram Sarabhai. We must be second to none in the application of real world problems of man and society. Let this moon day be a remarkable footstep to its future endeavors. We should dream high with Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam and be motivated and pursue careers in science and technology. Thank you guys for joining with me on this world-winding tour of India's space missions. As we move forward, let us continue to support and celebrate India's future endeavors. Have a successful moon day ahead, guys. Thank you and have a nice day.